Hello, thank you for joining me today. My name is Brigitte. I am an angel therapist practitioner along with medium certified by Doreen Virtue. And I wanted to make this YouTube video because I get a lot of questions. What do you do with mediumship? Well, first of all, I want to let you know how I became a medium is I had always had a huge fear of death. It was something so fearful and so terrifying to me. And when somebody close to me died, I would have this devastating feeling that was just engulfed me, full of fear and deep sorrow, and it just was really uncomfortable. And I had this huge fear, and a lot of people who were close to me had said, you know, it's normal to have grief, but this is just a little too much. And I was very much aware of it myself. And one of the reasons through some soul searching work that I had done is I found out why I had such a huge fear of death was when I was 2 years old, my father was 20 and he took his own life. And I was raised by some wonderful parents after that, and my mom did a wonderful job, and so did my stepfather, and I just never understood this stuff about my dad, and of course it was never openly discussed in my family with what happened, and it was just kind of one of those secrets. And I had this long yearning to know more about him, and there was just a few things I knew about my dad. One was that he was addicted to drugs, and two, he adored me. So when you grow up knowing only these two things about your father, you know, there's so much more you would like to know. And I had done many years of work behind it, like I said, and also I ended up going to angel therapy camp, which was in Laguna Beach at the time. And when I got there, was a box of angel cards, and I pulled one of the cards out of the box and it said, Father Issues. And it was like, whoa, what's behind this? So going, okay, there's a lot more going on here than, I knew that God wouldn't give me more than I could handle. And I knew that I would be able to walk through this, and I knew that I had a lot in store for that week. So as the day progressed, I was enjoying it, and I was there for a week. And on Thursday, for us to get certified, we were going to be practicing some mediumship skills. And this is something that I had never done before, although I was so ready for it. And I knew that I was very well protected, because first and foremost, we call upon Jesus, our Creator, and God, and also upon Archangel Michael, who is the protection angel. He oversees the whole session, and I just knew that whatever was in store was going to be exactly what I needed, and it was. And as we teamed up, I met with the partner who I was teaming up with, and she closed her eyes and was tuning in and asked who I would like to get a hold of, and I said, Jerry Phillips. And my lips were zipped, and I wasn't even going to say anything else. Not only was I not only going to say anything else, I really didn't know much about it. And so as she was tuning in, she kept on saying, plane, this plane. I'm going, no, he wasn't in autopilot. And she said, okay, this earth plane was too painful for him. And I was like, whoa, I felt like this weight was lifted off my chest, and I was like, oh my goodness. And as she tuned in more, she said, okay, stop. And she said that he came to her in this clown outfit and was juggling these balls and trying to make her laugh. And what his message was to me is that he's always been around me, always pushing me to laugh, and I inherited that from him, that beautiful character trait. I inherited it so much from him that even my senior year in high school, I was nominated for class clown, which I'm very, very proud of. Had a lot of fun doing that. And I mean, you really got to live up to that. And so that made me feel so much closer to him. Also, she said that he went down on his hands and knees and kissed me on the forehead and started handing me one single yellow rose after another, and said how proud he was of me, that even though I had chosen the same path that he had, that I found a way out of it, and that I had so much more courage that he had, and that he was so proud of me. And by then I was just in sobs. There was complete total truth with that. It started to come full circle. The healing just was full circle. And when I left there, I ended up later on making another appointment with a reading that same night with some people who were already professional ATPs. And that night we got to go and see what a professional one would be like, because we were going to be certified the next day. And I made this appointment, and she, without knowing, reiterated and built upon what was said in the earlier message. What I did after that was I felt that my journey there was complete, my reason there for going. I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt why I was there. And also, from the huge relief that I got, I promised myself that I would do whatever I could do to help other people who were grieving from having deceased loved ones, which we all have. You know, we all have, in the guilt, in the grief, in the devastation, whether it be from an accident, a suicide, a natural death, is just tremendously overwhelming. I ended up about a year later taking the mediumship course. I think it was about a year and a half later. And I went to there to become certified as a medium. And that was just to uncover those skills that I was already born with. I was so excited, and I had just promised to share again. I know what my life purpose is beyond a shadow of a doubt. And knowing and working with Jesus in the session, there's nothing to fear. There's nothing to fear. Archangel Michael will not let any darkness come through. What I learned is, and what I like to share with others during my sessions, is there's only a thin veil. Our deceased loved ones need to have a session with us as much as we need to have with them. And that it is just a thin veil that separates the two. And with that veil, it is so thin that it is clearly all there. In the sessions that I've done, there have been people that have come in that are so grief-stricken, where they carry the big weight on their backs from guilt, especially when it's parents. And when they leave, I've actually seen a twinkle in their eye and them sitting straight up with nothing hanging on their back. And it is the most beautiful thing to get to share with two humans. It is just the most absolutely glorious thing that I have ever done in my life. I do know that I am not doing the work. I do know that it's God and the angelic team. I do not take any credit for it. And the people end up asking, how did you know? And I'm like, I didn't know. They're the ones telling me. And it is just absolutely the most beautiful thing. There's nothing to fear. There's nothing to fear with deceased loved ones. They're just so happy to be able to communicate with us and have no fear with it, because they're just waiting. They're just waiting. And when the people have a session and they realize that, they move on. They move on with laying the grief aside, knowing that they're okay. That's another one of the questions. Are they okay? And yes, they are okay. There's definitely been a big spiritual awakening and change in the process of where they're at now too. It is truly amazing. I am very glad you joined me. And if you ever want to think about someone you love or want to communicate with them or anything like that, just through prayer, just by talking to them, they love to have conversations with you. And also when you find a penny on the ground, know that it is somebody, a deceased loved one, saying hello from heaven. Thank you for joining me.